Muppet Month! Muppet Month! Ah!
Oh my god.
Hello, people. Welcome to the Fantasy Fair. The what is it? Oh, that is right. The most magical podcast on earth. Welcome to Once Upon a Retrospect, where we take a look back at all your favorite Disney movies. Today is no exception. Today I am joined by the Alexises. Let's start off by Alexis Soto. What's up, Alexis?
I'm here, guys. Yay. I don't know what I got myself into, but we're already off to a great start.
Let me just say, I was very surprised that, and it was a good surprise, because at least I'm not in this alone.
Okay.
Oh my god.
All right.
That was Alexis Moreno, everyone. How are you doing, Alexis?
I am good. I am very interested into how this is gonna go.
And I'm interested to see if you're going to be good after this is over.
Waka waka waka. This is so fun. By the way, preface. I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna mention it again. Miss Moreno, thank you. Thank you for sparking this month, this theme. And I am thoroughly.
It was her idea?
It was her idea, yes.
Really?
Yeah, because she messaged me. And she was like, "Hey, let's do Muppet Month," because I'd never seen.
Why? I don't know.
I've never seen a Muppet. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do Muppet Month. And so lo and behold, waka waka waka, here we are doing the whole entire Muppet Month. Just a preface of the Muppet Month Muppet movies that we're covering. We're doing the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, The Muppets, and then Muppets Most Wanted. Just like the big 5 movies that came out in theaters that were like not based on anything or anything like that.
Did the others not come out in theaters?
Muppets in Space did, but in the overall Muppet canon of it all, it's weird. Like,
there's a Muppet canon?
Yes. Yes. And more and not the canon that Gonzo shoots himself out of. If you get the reference, everyone. But yeah, I mean, there's like different minutiae and all that stuff. Like Treasure Island and Muppets in Space are not qualified as like mainstay Muppet movies. You know what I mean? Like it's not part of like the big grand theatrical spectrum at all.
I guess you would have more clarity if, I don't know, Disney fucking put them all in Disney Plus, but for whatever reason they're not.
Yeah. We'll save Muppet movie, Muppet for Space, some other time. But we're gonna focus on the big 5 that were released. So yeah, starting with the Muppet movie. And I'm so interested because I've been pleasantly aware of the Muppets. I know the Muppets. I watched the Muppet movie when I was a kid. And it was like, I don't know, the theme of the Rainbow Connection has always stuck with me since I was a little kid. I saw a Great Muppet Caper in Manhattan in preschool. I mean, just to throw that all the way back.
Wow.
I saw Muppet Treasure Island when I was blissfully aware of Tim Curry's presence. How about that? And I was like, okay, Tim Curry and the Muppets, it's a match made in heaven. I didn't see Muppets Christmas Carol until much later in my life. I was like 16, 17. But then I watched the Muppets that came out in 2011 and reinvigorated my my Muppet love. I bought at one store, and I'm gonna be wearing this during the recordings. You can't see this, but it is backwards. It's
like,
my
look,
style.
and it's backwards.
Okay. It's my Kermit hat that I bought right as soon as we watched as soon as I watched the 2011 Muppet movie. I was just like, I'm back. I'm back. I watched episodes of the Muppet Show, starting with the great Steve Martin. Yay! And just continued on from there. I did not see Muppets Most Wanted because by the time rolled around, I delved back into my whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of phase again.
Oh my God.
That's
which you had no part of at all.
So I didn't see Muppets Most Wanted until like 2 years ago, but lo and behold, we're here. I saw a couple of episodes on the ABC, the new show.
2014?
What?
2014? Weren't we doing something 2014?
No, we didn't start hanging out till 2015.
No, but didn't Kyle start? He started a podcast, I think, in 2015. No, 14, right?
I don't know. We started on an episode called "Diamonds Are Forever," which came out in 2015. I have no idea what you're talking about, Alexis.
I guess that was. I don't know. I guess 2014 was a weird year for you then, right? Sex, rock and roll. Okay.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby.
I wonder if people listening think that we took, I don't know, some shit before recording. I'm telling you something. I don't think we ever needed any kind of.
I did, baby. I did. It's called the Muppet drug.
Okay.
It's called the Muppet drug, and honestly, I'm over the moon.
But you were still watching Disney movies in 2014.
But not that one. At least for me. I didn't really grow up with the Muppets, which is weird because my mom is a huge Kermit fan.
Really?
Yeah. The only thing I remember ever watching was it was Muppets Babies, but it was 2002, 2003. It was when I first moved to the Valley. I didn't have cable, and that was the only thing that was playing. And it was in Spanish. And then...
Awesome. How does Kermit sound in Spanish? What does anyone sound like in Spanish? It's okay, in question, was it funnier? Because
I was 7. I don't remember.
Okay,
but that was when I found out that my mom really liked Kermit, because me and my brother would watch it, and she'd be like, "Oh, I used to watch this when I was a kid, and I used to really like it, blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean,
they're Muppet babies. They make dreams come true.
Oh my God! And then the other thing that I saw, well, I watched the show at DCA.
Oh, the Muppet 3D thing? Muppet Vision 3D?
That was it. That was the extent of my Muppet knowledge. I knew Kermit. I knew Miss Piggy. I was done. And then when I started working at the store, every Christmas they would play the Christmas Carol songs. So that added on to my knowledge of Muppets. And that was it. Until last week.
Alexis, where's your history with the Muppets?
Well, kind of, I think I've fallen between you and Alexis. I wasn't brought up with Muppets in any way, shape, or form. Clearly not from preschool days. And if I was, I don't remember, because maybe I was too young to remember that. If
Yeah.
if by happenstance someone might have put a Muppet thing on in front of me, I don't remember. I guess like the very first like memory I have of like sitting down and watching like a Muppet movie of any kind, I think this would be, I want to say it was in the 4th or in the 5th grade. And I think I want to say this was like a direct to DVD, one of those direct to movie like releases that wasn't theatrical. But it was like a spoof on the Wizard of Oz. Remember, like I told you, like I would see like Wizard of Oz things before I'd actually seen the movie Wizard of Oz, which is how I would know what happened in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. With the ever great and ever present Ashanti.
Yeah, and Queen Latifah.
Oh,
Don't forget Queen
I
Latifah.
remember that. Wow, that just like unblocked a memory.
Unlocked a memory. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but,
I want to say it was 2005, 2006.
Oh my god! Wait, I need to see pictures of this because it's like in my head, but like.
I'm sure it was promoted on Disney Channel.
Probably.
Because they always they promoted everything on Disney Channel.
Yeah, they showed it on Disney Channel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
did?
that they did.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Huh.
Yes. Wow.
Was it like a decom?
Okay, it wasn't a decom. It was part of
Quentin
it was part of
Tarantino
a
comes out
Wonderful
in it.
World of Disney.
Yes, Quentin Tarantino came out in that. I remember that sequence.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
there was
so
like the
funny.
oh my gosh, there was like the I know we'll get to the Muppet movie, but there was a sequence in the movie where it just cuts when the flying monkeys were gonna frickin' destroy Kermit and all that stuff, and they cut to a scene where Quentin Tarantino is frickin' pitching his idea of like blood, guts, and gore to Kermit the Frog, and Kermit is just like, no. He's like, what if we punch Miss Piggy in the face? He's like, oh, we could do that. But that was the whole thing. I remember that. That was like a fond memory too.
Wow.
My sister Erica, that's where she got her start with the Muppets. She was like, "Oh, Muppets Wizard of Oz."
I completely
Yeah.
forgot about this, but thank you.
It's not talked about really at all. I
It's
think you would
not?
only. No, I think you would only know if you lived it. If you were around,
I mean,
you
not
would
even
remember.
because I didn't even.
You see, you kind of had to be there.
Basically. And so
Yeah.
like I remember liking it, but I didn't really like have any other like Muppet experiences afterward, except all the way until like 2011 when I went to go see the Muppets with my brother, and I was just completely amazed. I love that movie. I maintain, honestly, I think I had this discussion with David earlier today, that Muppets 2011 and Muppets Most Wanted are among the best live action films Disney has made in the last 2 decades. In some respect, that's not saying much at all, but I mean, 2 decades is 2 decades, and I think those 2 movies are kind of perfect. And so I think my appreciation for the Muppets really exploded with the 2011 movie, which was generally a huge success, not just from like a box office standpoint, but also from like, critical standpoint, and won an Academy Award. And
I
so,
know a lot. I mean, granted, I haven't seen the movie, but a lot of people really like it. So,
yeah.
and I'm kind of excited to see it. The thing about the Muppets is that I often confused them with Sesame Street.
And you're not wrong to do so, because a lot of people do confuse them for the Sesame Street. Before then, because like back in the 70s, like this is the history of like the whole Muppet shebang. There's a guy named Jim Henson, as you guys are well aware of. he was trying to break into children's television, but first, like, he was doing like drug ads, you know, for like, you know, pharmaceutical companies and everything like that. Like back when it was kind of like in its early form of gilded, you know, capitalism and everything. So he made like drug ads and everything like that for the, you know, for the FDA, and he did things like that with the rudimentary sock version of what would eventually become Kermit. It had, you know, it had the eyes, it had the mouth, it had the basic face shape, but it wasn't necessarily Kermit yet. It didn't have the spiky ridge that he has on his neck, and he would, you know, he was more like a lizard at the time. And him and what would eventually become Rolf the dog, them two were the pretty much primary Muppet performers that would be used. And they did other things until Lou Grotti, which I'll get to later. He was like, "Hey, would you, you know, you're suffering in Hollywood, but I'll give you a really good chance here in England. And we'll produce your show over here. We'll produce the Muppet Show over here." And he's like, "Okay, that's great. But first, hold on a second. I got a call from the public broadcasting system, and they were like, 'Hey, we want to make a show for children, preferably educational. Let's do it.' And lo and behold, you know, they were like, 'Okay, we want to reach out to your typical streets of America. You know, we want to, you know, for those that, you know, can't afford like the main, you know, the gratuitous education that the upper 1% have.' And so they were like, 'Okay, we'll make an urban educational show, and we'll call it Sesame Street.' And it was a success and everything like that. And Lou Grotti was like, 'Hey, if you still want to, you know, do the Muppet Show, let's do it.' Especially with now that the Jim Henson and the Muppets, what do you call them? I mean, Kermit the Frog, a prototype of Miss Piggy was in there, and there were different, like Rolf the dog, Sweetums, the big old guy that you see, that was in the Sesame Street gang as well. That's why in the Muppet movie you see some of those characters, you know, you see, and especially at the end you see Bert, Ernie, and the whole entire Sesame Street cast in there, with the exception of Elmo. But everybody else you see in there. And it wasn't until like Lou Grotti was like, "Hey, let's do it, and let's take this, you know, big thing. Who we're gonna have? We should have like something to like be more of a presence in the show, because I don't know how many people are gonna tune in to just puppets."
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they hired like this famous Broadway actress. I forgot the name. But they hired this Broadway actress, and she was like a name, like she was like Dina Menzel at the time.
Oh my
you know.
God.
So they were on their big success. Years later, like 2-3 years later, the Muppet movie came around, and it blew everything out of the water. But I could see why, the long roundabout way of saying, I could see why people would confuse them for Sesame Street, because they were part of Sesame Street too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kermit the Frog, he was a frequent on Sesame Street for a while until he was on the Muppet Show. You know, and it like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Kermit, you know, he's from the Muppets." Actually, no, he's from Sesame Street, but he did like make his name and make his bones on the Muppets. So I could see that.
And I would imagine there's been more in recent years, just been more degrees of separation between Muppets and Sesame Street, because to my knowledge, the Disney acquisition was only the Muppets, not Sesame Street.
Yeah. And with good reason too, because Sesame Workshop and Sesame Productions, they never wanted Sesame Street to be owned by any corporations of any of the sort, because it's an education show and it should be free to see, with, public
PBS,
access.
public access television, yeah.
Like Sprouts Kids and all that.
I'm trying to find out who that lady is, and in doing so, I came about this fun fact that James Earl Jones was the first celebrity guest on Sesame Street.
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Wow. What's I gonna say?
Public access television. Sesame Street's not owned by a corporation.
Yeah, like they wanted it to be free for kids, who couldn't afford, cable, and they wanted it to be something like that. So they were like, no. I mean, yeah, it's shown on HBO now, but it's also being shown on PBS still. Like all the new episodes, all the everything, and it has been for half a decade, and I think that's impressive.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I stutter? Half a decade. The Sesame Street has been on the air.
Sorry, there was a weird transition.
Yeah.
Can you check real quick if your mic is still on? Because I think the audio was weird for a minute there.
Yeah, I thought he was like continuing.
Mine? Hello?
It sounded like the microphone. Oh, okay. We're hearing you from that microphone, not the.
Yeah, you're not hearing me. Yeah, you're not hearing me from my.
Okay, then something must have happened where maybe the mic was rustling against your shirt. Sorry, guys. We were just a little thrown off by that. I was getting a little scared. No, but you're right about that. And it should remain that way. But I mean, it's a common question of why people would want to know. Like, all right, well, yeah, there has been an association, and the movie we're talking about today, Big Bird, one of the more famous from Sesame Street, does make a cameo appearance on here. So.
Even a wink and a nod to Sesame Street.
Basically, yeah. So, and at the time, which was this was 1979, which you don't hear too many movies from 1979 come up in conversation. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. Do you have one, Alexis, that you're thinking of?
Let me double check, because I might be wrong.
All right. Well, it's a good thing we have our fact checker here.
Before I
say something that you might regret.
Yes.
Basically.
Okay.
I was indeed wrong. Continue.
So there was no movie of significance that came out in 1979.
Well, the Muppet movie came out in 1979. We're talking about that,
obviously.
So that's significant to us.
It went into the Library of Congress registry.
Yes.
I think that's huge. Mm-hmm. Like a movie about Muppets and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, this is your first time watching these movies, guys. Mm-hmm. General thoughts before we get into the conversation.
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand with knowing what the Muppets are, and what they do. Mm-hmm. So from what I read is that
Alien came out in 1979.
That's a
big one.
That's a big one.
Mad Max.
Ooh.
Okay, we can stop shitting on 1979 now.
All right, great. But yeah, I think that this was filmed or released around the third or fourth season of The Muppet Show when it was on television. And so, I mean, I had already obviously seen several Muppet movies, and so I understand what their thing is, what their humor, the characters, the songs. Yeah, it's a honestly kind of special thing, right? Like, these are puppets, and they're cute, they're funny, they're fun, they sing, they dance, and yet, I don't know, it's one of those like magical charms, at least for me, whenever they're in something, that it makes you want to just stop and watch them, like whatever they're doing. So that's kind of like my experience with the Muppet movie, having like basically only just seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, I mean, it was sold, right? It's, I don't know how to describe this, because I mean, there's like a movie within a movie. There's a running gag with the screenplay. There's parts where they're watching the movie that we're watching ourselves. But it is also really a nice story, because I mean, it's just a kind of the coming together of the Muppets, and it kind of all is encapsulated with the signature song, which is the Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, me.
So, okay, never mind. Continue. I'll say it when it's my turn.
And so, I mean, this is basically a roundabout way of saying it's a movie for dreamers. It's a movie for anyone who's ever had a dream and wants to live their life. And it's about these puppets that come together because they want to make people happy. And part of what makes them Muppets. They're called the Muppets, but they are puppets. I guess we can call them Muppets. There's just an earnestness and an authenticness about them that makes them such lovable group of characters. And they all have their quirks, and they all have their things that make them stand out. But they've always kept me entertained. And yeah, good movie from what I've seen.
Moreno.
This was a great inspiration for La La Land. Literally, the whole ending, I was just like, wait.
Oh, shit.
But I don't see that as a bad thing or a negative thing. I enjoyed it. And I was gonna say with the song, like, now seeing it in the context of the movie, damn. It's really good. And I mean, it doesn't make me cry like Kyle, but I can see why he gets really emotional hearing that song. It's really nice. And I like that it's like how Alexis said, that it's kind of like how they came about and stuff, like their origin story. I thought it was really cool, and Miss Piggy tricked me there for a second, because I was like, oh, she was not mean in the beginning, but then as you keep watching the movie, she's not mean, but she's
feisty.
But no, like, I really like their dynamic together. Like, it's so weird because they're not like real people.
Yeah.
But like, that's also like weird to say, because like, we watch animation, we watch cartoons, but it's weird when you're talking about puppets. I don't know.
Yeah. So you're saying that Team America World Police never made you feel anything?
But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to watch the other movies as well.
Yeah. Like, just the beginning, like, I see it, and it's, like, very charming. First of all, I love the frickin' Henson studio intro with like freaking Kermit. It's such a byproduct of its time, but I it's like that little spark of Muppet magic that I just love, and it's endearing. And then you get like the wrap up of like the beginning of the screening of the movie. With them all in the little screening room, and you know, Statler and Waldorf, they're like, how did we get landed in this mess, or something like that. You know, and just them doing their thing, and then all of a sudden, like, you just hear the faint sound of this. And then for me, the tears are already starting to run, you know, down my face. Because when I hear that, I mean, at first it starts off very pessimistic, like the song. Like, I'm talking about the song first before getting into the movie, because it is a huge thing for me. It starts off so pessimistic, and he's like, you know, why are there so many songs about rainbows, you know, and just like what's on the other side, like questioning, why are there so many songs about hope? Why are there so many songs about like how, like, you know, everything will be all right at the end, you know, and how like you may not be happy today, you might not even be satisfied today or tomorrow, but someday you'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me, you know. And that's like, that emotional thing is like so prominent for me, because like when I hear what, you know, and that the rainbow connection, like the connection of like actually feeling normal, because throughout my whole life I felt like very different, because I do suffer from freaking a mess load of mental issues, and just the fact that that rings true to me, just like one day we'll find it, one day we'll find that perfect epicenter of whatever the fuck is going on in your mind. And the fact that you will one day find it. You may not be tomorrow, may not be today, but some, you know, throughout process and progress of like, you know, listening to yourself and just believing in that will help you go by. And it's honestly been one of my most saving gracing songs that I've ever heard, and it's probably in my top 5 favorite songs of all time, just because of that. And it's such a big song, and honestly, like, it hurts the fact that it didn't win an Academy Award. I mean, it was nominated, but like, just the simplicity of hearing Jim Henson singing that, and him pretty much setting the tone for the movie. Like, it's gonna be lighthearted, you know. That's what the Muppets are. They're lighthearted, you know. They're gonna be emotional moments. So buckle yourself in. It's not just gonna be Muppets doing, you know, the waka wakas and bullshit like that. It's actually more endearing than that. And I think that's what and that's what makes the Muppets special, you know. And honestly, like, I've been in love with the Muppets ever since, because of that, and then because of that story, because of, you know, you're different, but someday, you know, you'll feel that sense of belonging, and that's what the Rainbow Connection is all about. And I love that, and I can't help but cry. I've been trying so hard not to cry just by talking about this, and it is something that I think is worthy of, like, you know, being in the Congress Library and being, you know, aesthetically significant because of something like that. And yeah, Rainbow Connection, on like that one scene is like one of my favorite scenes of all time. Like, I want a freaking, like, I have several ideas for tattoos, but I want one of like a black and white one of Kermit on the log with the banjo, you know, because it means so much. And of course the other songs are great, like when Miss Piggy and Kermit, they're on the boat and they're
when they meet for the first time.
That was, oh my god.
I was cracking up. I was just like Like you can't even see him, and she's just like straight to him.
And like so dramatic, but like that's the Muppets, you know. It has that flair of the the dramatics, the moving right along, and that song, that's great. I mean, the song with
Gonzo?
Dr. Teeth and with Gonzo, the whole thing is freaking impressive.
When they're like, I don't even know what he is. I think he's a turkey.
When they're trying, and that's been like a running joke throughout the whole thing, just like, what species is he? And oh yeah, by the way, his lover is a fucking chicken.
I mean, I thought Gonzo was from space, or so they keep telling me anyway. I don't know. No, I think you made a pretty extraordinary case for that song. And honestly, like that song is the movie. It is the message of the movie and what the Muppets are kind of about, especially here. And I mean, it's become an anthem for so many communities.
And it's so funny because after I watched it, I keep hearing it.
Yeah.
Like, I saw it the other day, like, in a commercial or something. Like, I keep hearing it. I'm just like, wait, what is happening?
No, yeah. That was one of the reasons the first time I ever heard.
Because you know why? Because someday we'll find it. The rainbow.
I feel like, especially right now, like, a lot of people are...
Well, yeah. Clearly, it's not a fun time to be in the world at the moment. Yeah. I didn't want to say, I mean, we want to be alive. Be thankful you're alive. But it's just not a fun time to exist in the world as it is right now. That's
the reason to be thankful for this Thanksgiving season. Thankful you're alive.
Yeah, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, not for much longer, possibly. Anyway, the first time I heard Rainbow Connection was actually from the Muppets, 2011. And I think it was a critical moment of the movie. I don't want to spoil it, but it was a moment between Kermit and his significant other. But it was also kind of like an emotional highlight because it was building and building and building to that. And it was such, I may have used this word to describe a lot of other things before, but there are two words that come to mind to describe the presence of Rainbow Connection. When I first saw it, and this may be your experience when you're talking about the opening of the movie, it's just mesmerizing. And then the lyrics are magnetic. And then you realize how much they really mean. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, it is kind of a perfect song. And now that we've gushed about it, it is surprising it didn't win the Academy Award for Best Song. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what did? Because Man or a Muppet won. That was a song that won for Best Song, but Rainbow Connection didn't. And then go ahead.
That was an apology.
I also think to myself, well, you know what? That really makes... Maybe, yeah. Now
if
it
they
makes...
can bring back Eminem, they can bring back
Oh
Rainbow
my
Connection.
God. That was honestly one of the most random moments of 2020. And there have been some pretty fucking random moments this year. Let's be real. Yeah. Oh
my God.
That was 2020.
Honestly, it was worth it just to see freaking Scorsese's freaking face.
Yeah.
Okay, so Best Original Song went to It Goes Like It Goes from Norma Rae.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. That's my reaction as well.
What is that?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to be rude, but I guess I'm wondering that too. What is that? Who is she?
Exact. Who is Norma Rae? Who knows?
I don't know her.
Wait, in 1979?
Mm-hmm. At the 52nd Academy Awards.
I have Last Dance.
What?
Maybe Score?
Really?
that
was
one.
Was that from a movie?
Best music.
Donna
original
Summer?
Song. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, I know her.
Yeah, I know that one. I don't know the other one.
I don't know about Norma Ray.
Yeah, It Goes Like It Goes from Norma Ray. Music by David Shire, lyrics by Norman Gipple. Going against I'll Never Say Goodbye from The Promise. It's Easy to Say from 10. Rainbow Connection from The Muppet Movie. And Through the Eyes of Love from Ice Castles.
Anyway, I was now
Tomato.
Now it makes so much sense why it was that for the longest time, Rainbow Connection would be the outro music for Red Spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was for how long did it last on for the outro?
A solid good year.
Yeah.
With Tori Kelly, my homegirl, Tori Kelly. And Kermit singing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many covers of Rainbow Connection. Gwen Stefani, she did a cover of it. Haley Williams did a recording of it. Willie Nelson. I mean, there's so many different versions and incarnations of the song, but for me, it's always Jim Henson singing the song. That's my version. But yeah, let's talk about the movie. First of all, do you recognize any of the cameos that were in the movie?
Some of them, yes. A lot of them. I mean, that's also, we should mention, part of the DNA when it comes to a Muppet movie. Expect plenty of celebrity cameos.
There was a lot that, like, I would know the face, but I wouldn't know the name.
Well, Steve Martin was in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, Steve Martin's that old? He doesn't
No,
look...
his hair has always looked like that.
Apparently. But like, shit. Mel Brooks was in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's like 95 now?
Oh my
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And this is him in his comedic prime, too.
Uh-huh. What were the other ones?
Let's see.
Do you recognize the big cameo at the end?
Oh, well, yeah, Orson Welles. Yeah, you're... Stupid me. Orson Welles, yeah. He was the one that gave him the contract, just like that. When they all walk into his office. Yeah, Orson Welles. Which, at that point, I think would have been one of his final performances, if I'm not mistaken.
His name is in the movie Lou Lord, which is a play on inspired by the person who got Jim Henson the job of the Muppets in the first place, Lou Grotti.
Tim Burton was in it?
Was he?
I guess. That's what it says. Dang. Or maybe, this says cast. That's funny.
The who else was in it that you might not know? No, Dom DeLuise. He's a famous stand-up comedian. He was the guy at the beginning in the swamp, peddling to Kermit.
Right.
Richard Pryor.
That's right. Yeah.
He was the ice cream man. The magician in the movie. I would know him. Played by Telly Savalas, and he played Ernstravo Blofeld
No.
in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, one of my favorite James Bond films.
Paul Williams.
Orson Welles. Bob Hope. Bob Hope was in there.
I don't remember seeing Bob Hope in that, but I did read that name.
Yeah. Who was the ice cream guy?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, so many big names. Like, if you were a comedian at the time, you were in this movie, And if you were, like, one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of these, like, cameos, I mean, it's like, might as well put, like, in modern day setting, it's like putting, like, David Letterman, Kevin Hart, just to put a little modern modern comedy and just like the big name. It's like putting those people in today. Orson Welles, that's like putting, okay, because he was like a huge prolific actor at the time. It's like might as well putting Tom Hanks in your movie, you know. And so like it was a big deal at the time, and to have like the big deal actor give the Muppets the big deal at the end, I think that's another, you know, layer on top of layers of this.
I mean, I don't know how more momentous it could be. I mean, Orson Welles is responsible for Citizen Kane, which to many people is considered the best movie ever made.
Yeah.
And to have that Orson Welles basically affirm your validity and talent in Hollywood is a big thing. It's a really big fucking thing. I think he only had like one line.
Yeah, he's like, get me the contract for the rich and famous at the end. And honestly, like, and then it cuts, it does several cuts, and then we get to the Sesame Street characters. Oh, by the way, one of my favorite jokes of the whole movie is it was mentioned before, but Big Bird passing by Fozzie and Kermit, and he's like, "Where are you go? Hey, you need a ride? No thanks. I'm going to New York to break into television."
I have seen that before, or at least heard somebody like talking about that before.
It's weird seeing Big Bird on Disney Plus.
Oh, well, I mean, a big thing with this movie that I was reading over the reviews at that time was people were raving that you finally got to see the Muppets' feet.
Yeah, which was a big like technical achievement all in itself, because what it was like you got the first like kind of animatronics that were used as prominent characters in movies. I mean, James Cameron did that with the first Terminator when using the robot Arnold, you know. But to see freaking Kermit the Frog on a fucking bicycle without any strings or sticks or anything like that, that was a huge freaking special effects deal, you know? And like nobody saw anything at the time. I mean, you would see, I mean, the other time that you would see like a puppet and move in the way that it did was like with Yoda, and doing that. And honestly, and also fun fact, while making the Muppet movie, next door, the studio next door was the Dagobah set. So how convenient was that?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because that would have only...
We should, I mean, after this, we should have like a Jim Henson like episode, because, dude, they're like everywhere.
Yeah. You're right, because Empire would have been released the next year in 80.
Yeah, so they were filming at the same time, and so Frank Oz would hop over and he'd be like, "Okay, see you guys, I'm gonna go film for Miss Piggy," you know, and
I'm gonna go record my frog.
And they were testing it out. They went to like a random farm just to test out like camera angles and stuff. I mean, you see some test footage of how they got like the shots that they wanted, and just to see how the Muppets would do in a live action setting. So they went to a freaking farm to see how they would interact with the real world, and they were like, okay, we could do it. I mean, there was a shot of I think Kermit talking to a cow, like a real cow, and he's like, have you seen the way to something down the street? And then like trying to ask the cow for directions or something like that. And it worked. And they were like, the producers were like, okay, this could work. Give me some more. And they did. I don't know if you've seen the Prop Culture episode on the Muppet movie. Okay. So they went into a little bit of it the scene in the Ludobago, the car that that Fozzie drives, that was accomplished by having how do I phrase this right? A person of short stature.
A short person?
A short person, yes. In the back of the trunk. And one of the puppeteers in the cargo seat, the back seat, hollow that out, hide in there with monitors in both sides, monitoring the wheels and the steering wheel, and just to make sure that it looks like the same thing while they were working on the puppets' movements as well.
Wow.
And that's how that was accomplished. And also, a crane had to be over the Muppets when they were riding the bicycles, and while they were in the boat scene, but they had to be at a certain angle, otherwise, like, the animatronics versions of the Muppets would not move at all. So, like, they would have to try to configure the direction that they were going to be at and try to maneuver with all the cameras, the boom mic, and everything to capture the vocal performances as well, off screen. I mean, it was just like a complete mess, but they completely made it work. And just that shot was freaking ridiculous. I remember remember them talking, like I was there, but them talking about, like, how it took, like, several days just to configure freaking Kermit the Frog on a fucking bicycle, and just that shot, with that scene in the bar, in the movie, they used blue screen, which they would then utilize in a movie called Labyrinth, and just like different techniques that they would learn over the years, they would use in further Jim Henson movies like Dark Crystal and all these other movies. So this movie was kind of huge technologically for the company as well. So I think that was huge. Anything else you guys picked up that you were like, whoa, what? How do they do that?
Not necessarily, but I feel like it's interesting to, like, learn about it, because you don't, like, when you're watching the movie, like, you don't think about those things. Like, I feel like kids now, they're probably like, oh, like, that's just like a screen or like something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, no, like, they actually had to, like, do it. Figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, and it's cool that they were able to figure that. I mean, it took several days to configure Kermit riding a bike. I mean, that level of dedication just for that one shot. I mean, you would just be like, oh, just show him walking up to the freaking door and just, like, that'll be your shot. But no, like, they actually took their time, and that was pretty much it, And honestly, like, just that little level of detail is what made, like, the Muppets stand out, the poster that you see, not on any of the DVD releases or anything, but the main theatrical poster that was released, tying it back to Star Wars, it was done by Drew Struzan. So just a little level of artiste.
That's cool.
That was put into the whole thing. I mean, there's so many little details about this movie that made it work like that. The screenplay is tight. Like, it's a tight screenplay.
And it's also
Alexis?
referred to it so many times in the movie when, oh, it's in the screenplay. I knew you were going to be here.
Yeah. Or the
when Kermit's, like, like, I think it was his family or something showed up, or like the people that he lives around. They're like, how did you know I was gonna be here? They're like, because you left it on the script. Oh god, dude! Like all the stupid little jokes, like they got me.
Well, yeah, you were talking about earlier about when we see Miss Piggy's introduction, and then all of a sudden she just sees Kermit, and then it's like love at first sight.
Yeah, and like all the people around him like turn to see him. They're like, "What's going on?"
And then she goes on, but like, "Oh, Kermit, you're such a leader." Just being so completely obsessed with him.
I think they're like on a bus or something, and then she's like, "Whisper sweet nothings in my ear," and he's like, "A cop." And she's like, "A cop." It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
Like, oh, where'd you get your ride from? Oh, it was my cousin's. What does your cousin do? Oh, he's hiring.
Oh my god.
It's a like, honestly, it's a good road trip movie too.
Yeah. Well, there was this whole side thing where they stop, I guess, somewhere at an inn. Piggy and Kermit are having dinner, and then a whole bunch of weird shit happens. Like
when she gets kidnapped.
Well, does she? So first, like, she gets called.
Yeah.
And then she basically leaves. She just leaves. But then it ends up being that she was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
And Dr. Honey Buns and Lemon Honeydew. And then you got Beaker as well in there. And I think like it's implied that he was a Nazi scientist.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear. If the accent didn't give it away, I don't know what would.
I think on the back it said German scientist. Like on the back of his lab coat, or so, it said something like that.
Like just plain out. But yeah, I mean it fits because it's Mel Brooks and he always makes like Nazi jokes and stuff like that. It's great.
I guess this is Miss Piggy's thing because she apparently knows what, Taekwondo or something, because she just beat the crap out of everybody.
But like the thing that gets her is he calls her like bacon or something, or pork or something, and she's like, "Oh hell no,
oh no." It's okay. Like the jokes are hilarious, timeless at that too. I mean, they just like it's because it's so stupid and non sequitur. Yeah, I love like one of the striking images that stick with me from this movie for a while since my childhood, since I saw it, was freaking Animal growing exponentially large, and that was like, oh. Okay. Add that to a list of childhood traumas.
Yeah, I was like, when that shit happened, I would be like running away too. Like, what the fuck? And then in the next scene, it's all fixed. I love how it didn't last all that long, but fucking Animal, he's crazy.
Yeah. But like that, just the fact that was actually there too when they filmed it.
Well,
like that big old freaking animal head.
Oh,
incredible.
I am kind of, shocked and dang, like it should have worked. That show that they did a few years ago where it was like a TV. Miss Piggy was a TV host, and it was kind of like the Office vibe, but it was like a network show vibe. That should have worked.
From what I understand, it did. Peter is that's the thing. Yeah, Peter is a big fan of the show. I think the problem was, why would you think that would get people to? They put it on ABC television network.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think that if they would have done it on
Disney Plus,
yes, that would have. Oh God!
It's a no-brainer. That's one of the many things you could have instantly just brought back. You own the damn thing. That was a concept that worked. It was a show that would have been a success on streaming, not on network television.
No. Mm-mm.
Maybe I should see it.
But instead you do Muppets Now.
And it is available on Disney Plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can watch it.
Yeah. And Muppets Now, nobody seems to like.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything of it, but I heard a lot about the other show. I even watched the first episode.
Oh, of
which is of the when it aired, because I was like, okay, let's see.
Just okay.
I think we talked about that one. It was a legendary episode going back to our hallowed halls of Red Spotlight. I think Kyle called it "What's Happening Disney." It was one of those recordings where like you, me, Alexis, Peter, we were all in the same room together, and the big topic that day was a whole bunch of shit that was canceled or cut at Disney. I think you called it "What's Happening Disney."
Yeah,
I think so.
And the Muppets, I think were just, and you were also upset because I think they also canceled Agent Carter around the same time.
Yes.
Another show they could very well easily bring back and finish off the third season. It's just 10 episodes. A bunch of missed opportunities. Sorry for the rant.
No, rant away.
But yeah.
I give this whole thing, this is a platform for everyone, and I hope that they use it as much as they would like. So yeah. I got nothing else to say. I mean, the plot is basically Kermit wants to make it big in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this frog leg guy is trying to get him to advertise for his frog legs, but as you know, like that's not kosher in the land of the frog. So that's a big no about that, and that's pretty much it. That's the plot, but just like seeing the Muppets interact, seeing them quote unquote meet each other for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing. Like this show, I mean, yes, it worked for people and stuff. It's just whatever the fuck they're doing, whatever. And like it makes sense now because like we know who the Muppets are. But like this movie should not have worked.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And in a good way.
Yeah. No, I mean it's kind of like its own thing. I when I watched this movie and I was experiencing it, I was like, yeah, this is the Muppets, but man, this is weird. But yeah. good weird. Oh, we should stress that. Good weird. Yeah. But it also is just so hard to compare this to anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like its own little animal all in itself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of those like triumphant stories of like something that's just so out there and yet it is a great success. I mean, I'll say they're still popular even though Disney has been able to bungle a lot of the reboots that they've been. I mean, Disney keeps trying to make Muppets work, but for whatever reason, it doesn't.
And I mean,
seem...
I give them props for that at least. Like,
yeah,
they're trying, and they're still very prominent in the parks. I mean, some parks, but like
Some parks.
You know, people. Yeah, some parks.
If they're open.
Well, that one is.
Yeah.
But like
They have their own little show in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, in Magic Kingdom, in Hollywood Studios, like they're still big and people still love
Muppets
them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like when it comes to like the other kind of medium. Oh, fun fact.
Here we go. Kyle's fun facts.
Here we go. The Muppets 3D show is the last performance of Jim Henson as Kermit the Frog.
You really forget how old that was. You know, because like when I saw Muppet Vision, it must have been in the mid 2000s, maybe right when California Adventure opened, because that's when, you know, it was available to us here. But no, that's been around for like, I mean, since Jim Henson was alive, right? Or around the time, or maybe it debuted almost immediately after, because it was originally at MGM, at that point known as Disney MGM Studios. Mm-hmm. In the days where they would have like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers. Don't
forget Barbie.
And the parades. Those are some weird times.
Yeah. It was a weird time for like Disney trying to like be like, oh, what can we acquire? That was the beginning of it all. That was the beginning of what can we acquire?
Oh, that wasn't the beginning. Walt Disney was the beginning. Remember, it goes all the way back to trying to acquire Mary Poppins. It's always something. It's always something.
But at least, like, with him, it had like a deeper meaning.
Oh, with Walt?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like corporate synergy, corporate, you know, that's like the 90s is where it began. Thank you, Mr. Michael Eisner, by the way. You're
Apparently,
more than...
Oh my god, I found this out recently. Sorry, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But at the same time it does. So I've shown you guys pictures of how my store looked, right? It was like the original, the way that it looked, you know, when they first opened. Why are you laughing?
Because I guess it was weird.
Are you laughing because they crushed my dream?
I mean, well, that's always funny. But I mean, what I was laughing at was when you were saying about your store, and in my earpiece, I heard Kyle was like, "What? Huh?" Not like, "Uh-huh." So I was like, laughing because like Kyle sounded was like, "What are you talking about? What store?" And I was laughing at that. Sorry.
I know what store.
Apparently, in order to promote the stores, they also made a restaurant that looked like the store. They made a few of them around the country to promote like the openings of the stores, but they were only open for like a year.
Disney restaurants?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yes, they kind of, at least like with the pictures that I saw, they kind of had this like Planet Hollywood type of vibe, but it was like all Disney.
Wasn't it called Mickey something?
Mickey's Kitchen, I think, something like that.
Yeah. And like you would get like themed meals, like Goofies.
Like you could get the waffles, like you could get like food from like the parks and stuff. I hate that we weren't a part of this.
It didn't work for many reasons, but mostly because Disney would do cross deals with McDonald's, and because people went to McDonald's anyway, and that was like the most like successful branch of fast food ever. They were like, why go to Mickey's Kitchen when I could get like a Mickey toy at McDonald's? And so they were like, so Disney kind of shot themselves in the foot in that way.
I had never heard that story before.
I hadn't either till like maybe 2 weeks ago. I was like, excuse me?
That is so weird.
That's really cool. But, okay, sorry. I just like remembered that right now.
Corporate synergy, Michael Eisner. Oh, by the way, Michael Eisner, if you're listening, but But secondly, you are more than welcome to be on the Fantasy Fair. The What Is It, Everyone? Know That Is Right, the most magical podcast on earth. Thank you very much. I would love to have you on this podcast. I would love to talk to you.
Why stop there? Why stop there? Let's invite Kermit and Miss Piggy on next episode. I mean, I don't... At that point...
What makes you think that they're not on this episode right now? Bring up Kermit and Miss Piggy, everyone. Hello.
What the fuck?
That was fucking... What? That was Fozzie. What the fuck came out of my mouth?
I think we may have reached that part of the podcast, guys.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. I really love this movie, guys. It's an awesome film. I adore it. I make it a point to watch the movie at least once a year. I haven't watched it this year. Not yet, at least.
Well, these last 2 weeks would have been a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, work-related stuff got in the way. So, but I would like to say that it's nice. It's nice that you guys got to watch it for the first time and just like you reacting, and it's just like it revives my first memories with the Muppets. So I very much appreciate that. And the next episode is going to be The Great Muppet Caper, which I've not seen in ages, so it's going to be interesting to look.
Now streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Thank you for cross promoting. If you use the discount code Fantasy, you'd get 20% off discount for the whole year. Yes, everyone, a whole year of Disney Plus if you use the promo code Fantasy.
But wait, there's more. If you use the oh god, what was it called? I forget what the thing is. There's a bundle with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. Yeah, and all you have to do is give us money.
Spotlight.
Give us money.
This was not part of the deal. I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Oh my god, okay. We're going a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I don't think this podcast ever needs brownies of any kind, that's for sure. Imagine, though, that would be a bit too much.
Oh god, edible brownies, dude. I would, yeah. Dude.
Well, we have a dispensary open now, right? You can just go and pick it up.
Our local March and Ash. By the way, if you use discount Fantasy, you'll get
Oh my god! Don't.
Oh shit. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are, you like the movie.
Oh my god.
I like it too. Go figure. I sing the song every freaking time. So without final thoughts before we
there are no
off,
final thoughts. Thank you for listening. It was fun to watch the Muppets, and I think I speak for both Alexis and I. We can't wait to talk about more of them. We got more movies coming up.
Yeah, Moreno, anything else you'd like to say?
I think that it was a great time to watch these movies because they're such feel-good movies. When, again, in a time that we need it most.
It's like the Avatar.
Except it doesn't disappear.
Yeah. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Now, without further ado, Someday we'll find it. The rainbow connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da do. La da 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 dee da. Ooh.
And this is
Stay magical, everyone.
This is without shrooms.